Okay. So again, here's the warm-up problem. If you're playing along at home, do the warm-up and then press play whenever you're ready. Gio, what do you think?
Oh, I just wanted to ask a question. I did it. I did like the extra line thing.
Gio, what do you get when you put in -2?
-8.
-8. Good. -1.
-6.
0.
-4.
1.
-2.
2.
0.
Now, do you see the pattern in the y values? Do you see how it continuously goes up by 2? -8 to -6, -6 to -4, -2 to 0. That should always happen. If you get something that's not a straight line when you go to graph it, that's not good. So -2, -8. -1, -6. 0, -4. 1, -2. 2, 0. Do I connect my dots?
No, yes.
Yes, this is just an equation. There are no limitations on the x values. Let me remind you, everybody look up at my screen real quick.
Good morning. Please excuse the interruption. The internet is temporarily down, so don't panic, but please, we don't need to keep calling to say that there's a problem. We are aware, and we are working on it, and we'll let you know as soon as it is back up and running.
Why is this still working?
Now, enjoy some downtime without the internet, and
Should I call Mr. Pilato and say,
Yes.
Mr. Pilato, my internet's not working.
Yeah.
Yes, do it. You have to do it right now.
Everybody stay calm.
Remain calm.
Nobody panic.
The internet's down.
Do not panic.
Mr. Lapis.
It's gotta be okay.
This will be okay, people.
Should I call Mr. Pilato?
Yes.
Hey, my internet's not working.
What do they think we're gonna do? Rush the office? Everybody stay calm.
Grab your weapons.
Mr. Lapis, this is a perfect time to leave. No internet?
Sid, what do you need?
Okay, so did you hear about every
Queso, that's a kind of cheese.
What?
You said, okay, so. I said, queso, that's a kind of cheese.
It's so good. Anyways,
This is delicious.
so you know how Stone, Canal Phone, all their power went out at stores and stuff? Maybe it's gonna happen to our school, hopefully.
The grid's going down.
My mother's ring is gone now.
So back to this. Back to this. Do I connect my dots?
Yes.
Now everybody look up here. Is that okay?
No.
No. Is that okay?
No.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the moral of that story? Are you allowed to just connect your dots? No. Extend it through the entire graph. And also, arrows on the end. Has to include arrows. Okay. Let's get to our practice quiz. So if you need to correct anything, I'm going to call on.
Yes, we took them and we hid them away.
I had a student that would take his out from time to time. It was 4 or 5 years ago. So and then I realized it halfway through the year. So I put 10 of his name back in.
So every time.
So it was every other person he was getting called. And he was like, wait a sec, I took my name. All right. Anna, you get the first one here. Taking a look at graph 1. Anna, is domain X or Y? Is domain X values or Y values? You got a 50-50 shot. Is it X values or Y values? X values. Which means it's left to right, correct? X values are always left to right. Now, I write the domain when it's continuous, and it is continuous here, correct? I write the domain when it's continuous as this inequality. So, Anna, I go far left to far right. How far left does this thing go? To -3. It goes over here. How far right does this thing go? And that's how we write that. Okay? If you didn't write it like that, or you wrote it using your brackets or whatever, erase that, change it to this. Okay, Gio, what's my range then? If my domain is -3 to 2, what's my range? Now it's bottom to top now for range.
It would be 1, and then
Bottom to top. -2 to what? There you go. Don't go top to bottom, go bottom to top. Smaller to bigger.
Why is it like that?
Because it's continuous.
So it's always going to be an inequality when it's continuous?
Yes. Everybody hear that? That's kind of like the moral of the story that we've been talking about for domain and range. Why is it important that we're defining when things are continuous and discrete? Because a continuous domain is an inequality. It's like all points in there. A discrete domain is just when I list them out. We'll see examples of it later on. Okay, is this a function, Ella? Yes. Now, do you notice how it says explain? Oh, it doesn't say explain. It will say explain on your quiz tomorrow. I will tell you this, and I think I said this yesterday. This quiz tomorrow is one of the ones where you have to write the most. Okay? A lot of math quizzes, you just solve equations, solve equations, solve equations. This, I'm going to be asking you to explain, interpret, provide an explanation for your answer. What's independent? What's dependent? Identify this, identify that. So it's going to be extremely important that you fully explain your answer. Is it okay to just say yes? No. I need to explain my answer. So how would I explain my answer? Good. Passes the VLT. Good. Passes the VLT. The vertical line test. All right, now, number 4A. Grace. For 4A, is that a function?
I said no.
Why did you say no?
Because the y values
Okay, I see what you're saying there with the y values repeating. That doesn't matter. The x values can't repeat. It is, okay? So we say yes. And what's my explanation when I say yes? Kenny? What's that? Very good. All inputs have one output or different outputs. Okay? Question? Steve. Oh, there's Hayden. I gotta put him in an 8th grade cup. Grace. The answer is no. Why?
because the x values repeat the -1.
Very good. No. -1 has two outputs. Yes, I will be looking for which x value makes it not a function.
Can we just write in and out instead of input and output?
Sure.
Okay.
I know. I actually tried to give you a lot of room to write it out. Because there was extra room on certain pages, so I gave you like extra blanks. So hopefully that's not an issue. All right. A basketball game charges $8 per ticket. If so, identify the independent and dependent variables. So my question goes to Nick. Oh, put it back in the cup. Sid, what's my independent variable?
Actually, this is probably the wrong expression.
What do you say?
Just the amount of adults.
That's correct. Amount of adults. I would have also accepted the amount of tickets purchased. That's fine too. Okay, so what's my dependent variable? Total cost. Remember how when we were introducing these problems, I said if it's money, more often than not, money is the dependent variable. Total cost. Now, it asks for the domain and range here. When I ask you for the domain and range, I want numerical. What is the domain? What are the different values that I could plug in? Okay. Can I have 0 people going to the game? Sure. I guess I don't need to go. Not required to go. Could I have decimal amounts? No. I can't have decimal amounts. And then what's my top amount? 5. So my domain is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, if that's my domain, if that's my domain, I take my equation, y is equal to 8x, and that's my equation, right? $8 per ticket, $8 per adult, and I plug in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 24. 32. 40. Going up by 8 each time. That's my range. The outputs are my range. Where's the hard chord?
Hi, Corey. No, 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 hi.
So that's my range. 0, 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. Remember, domain is my input, range is my output. Okay. Tommy, when looking at my x-intercepts, where do I look on the graph to find my x-intercept? At the x-axis, right? I'm looking, where does it cross the x-axis? So let me put them on here. One right there, one right there. So it actually crosses the x-axis twice. What are those values at?
-3, 0, and then 3, 0.
Good. And I am very glad that he wrote them as coordinates. If you just gave me -3, +3, I would be okay with it. But I really would like you to put them as coordinates. Okay, so what is the y? Hayden, what is the y-intercept?
Is it 0, 3?
Good, 0, 3. This is why I'm stressing to do a coordinate, because if you just wrote 3 for your x-intercept and 3 for your y-intercept, you might be thinking that they're the same thing. They're not. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, so it's up here at 3, and the coordinate is 0, 3. Okay, I will do the rest of these. I'm sorry, not the rest of them. I will do 8 through 12 here, okay? Because this is difficult. I get it. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that this portion of the quiz is matching. This portion of the quiz is matching. I'm going to have blanks for positive, negative, increasing, decreasing, and then I'm going to have 4 inequalities that match. So you're not necessarily going to have to create the inequality, but you will be asked to match what they go with. Here's what I mean. Remember that a graph being positive comes out above the x-axis. So I outlined it in purple. It's above the x-axis only in that spot. So the smallest it could be and still come out to be above the x-axis is -3. Biggest is +3. Those are the x-intercepts, aren't they? Negative, below the x-axis, it has to be to the left of -3 or to the right of +3.
So for the positive, I wrote it how you did the negative. Would that be wrong?
Did you write an and?
Yeah.
Then you're okay.
Okay.
But if it's matching tomorrow, it's going to look like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Is it quiz or test?
Quiz.
So under 25 points.
No. Each of our quizzes are like 40 points. Sunday. People, we've had a whole 9 weeks of this already.
As long as you don't put these
Every-
in, you take like 4 more points.
Every quiz is somewhere around 40 points. And I think this one comes out to 45.
Matt, wait.
Just don't put this in. Don't
Each-
put this one in for a while.
Each test, excuse me, is around 80 points, 80 to 100 points. Each quiz is 40 to 50. Each test is 80 to 100. We've had a whole 9 weeks of this already. We have several quizzes, several tests. They've all been around that same amount. Guys, you don't understand. You want the point values to be bigger. You want the point values to be bigger. You know what that means for you guys? More partial credit that I could give you. Like, if a question is worth 1 point and you get it wrong, you get 0 out of that 1 point, right? But if I make that same question worth 4 points and scale up the rest of the test as well, and you miss one part of that, then I can give you like a 3 out of 4 on it, right? You want more points, so there's more possibility of partial credit. Did a lot of questions. Okay, increasing. This is the roller coaster, right? I put the roller coaster on the track. If it goes up the hill, then it's increasing, which I have in yellow. If it goes down the hill, it's decreasing, which I have in the dotted line there. Increasing up the hill. So it's everywhere up until 0. So if it's less than 0, it's going to be increasing to the left of 0. To the right of 0, it's going to be decreasing. Right of means greater than. Now, end behavior. End behavior. Remember that end behavior, negative infinity means down. Positive infinity means up. Okay? Negative infinity means down. Positive infinity means up. What does this do on both sides of this graph? Goes down. So for both sides, and now remember that this means on the right side. How do I know that? As x gets positive infinity. As x keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, that's on the right side of the graph. This is on the left side of the graph. As x keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes to negative infinity. But no matter what, these actually are both the same answer because they're both going down. Negative infinity means down. Positive infinity means up. Okay, now we're back to you guys answering. Does the table represent a linear or nonlinear function? Okay, for 13a here, Nathan, is that linear?
Yes, sir.
What's my, so I say yes. What's my change in x?
Let's do,
What's my change in y? Oh.
yeah, it's non-linear.
What's my change in y? I go up 6, up 2, up 4. So we say no, it's not linear. Why?
Because the x and the y don't have matching patterns.
That's not true. X has a constant pattern. You're looking for a constant change. It's the y values that throw it off. Y values are not constant. Or it does not have a constant change. Okay? Guys, I think these questions are worth 3 points. I'm giving you 1 point for getting the yes or no right. I'm giving you another point for, actually 2 more points for getting the explanation right. Okay? So even if you had said no, like if he had said no and then provided that response that he had, that the x and y values are not the same, I'm giving him 1 point for getting the no correct, but 2 points off because he didn't explain it correctly. Okay? So just know that you got to explain it correctly as well. The correct explanation on why it's not linear is because the y values are not constant. The x values are fine. The y values are not. Okay, so for 13b, Preston, is that linear? Yes. Now, when I say it's a yes, you say constant change in x and y. Okay, if I have constant change in x and y, I need to see what the numbers are. Up 3, up 3, up 3, down 6, oops, sorry, down 4, excuse me. Down 4, down 4. So if you say yes, I must see those values. If I don't see those values, again, I'm taking off. Nathan?
Nothing you're saying.
All right, flip it over onto the back. Okay, Henry, give me one of those that is not linear.
The third one.
The third one, why is that not linear?
Because that was exponent.
Good. Give me one that is linear. Two out of the 3 of these left are linear. Number 2 is linear. Very good. Okay, you got a 50-50 shot. Give me another one that's not linear. First one or last one? Just thinking hard about this one. The first one is not linear. The reason being, because we have x times y. That one is not linear. So that must mean that y equals 8 is linear. Guys, that's the exact first problem that we had in our guided notes when I was talking about them being linear or not. Okay? Y equals. Does anybody remember what y equals ends up being? What type of line? Don't say straight line. All lines are straight. What type of line does it turn out to be? Horizontal line. Any y equals is a horizontal line. Okay, I know I went on my rant about problem number 15. Literally the exact, I didn't change it. The exact same problem. Let's go through the interpretation of each part. Okay. What does the 145, Luca, what does the 145 represent here? If I know the airline is charging me $145 plus $30 per bag checked, what's the 145 representing? Okay, if you just said cost, I would take off 1 point because it's not total cost. Just the 145 is not the total cost. It's the cost of the ticket, just the ticket. Okay? So this is cost of the ticket. If you said cost, explain more. Do you have a question?
I said ticket price.
That's fine. Luca, what's the 30 then?
The cost of the airline ticket.
Oh, no, that's 145. What's X representing again? The number of bags, right? Okay, Sid, help them out. Number of bags. Or, I'm sorry, that's not the number of bags. X is the number of bags.
How many bags got checked?
That's still X.
Wait, what are we doing?
30. What's the value of 30? Price of one bag. That's actually cheap. Usually it's like $50. Price of one bag. You go on Southwest, it's free though.
Yeah, that was
I
bad.
didn't hear about it.
Anyway, let's get back to math. Okay, so if 30 is the price of one bag, I really hope my recording gets messed up. So I have to do it over again. What does the 30x mean? The total cost of the bags. I'm glad he put it that way. The total cost of the bags. Total cost for the bags. Yes, every day, 8 period. That's when I get tired of it. I say the same jokes. I say the same thing.
Wow.
Well,
And then you have to teach
And they
it
all
every
have the
single
same
year
like
over and over again.
so like you're just tired of it.
at least for like one watch.
Hear about that later.
Like what if like someone watching a video, like what if their dad is like a pilot for some
You gonna talk about that lady?
I know, I'm
that
gonna
shut
get
down
sued or
planes?
something, you know. All right. Yeah, no, I probably won't talk about that. All right. Find the domain of the function. Is the domain discrete or continuous? Well, remember, think, what can I plug into this thing? Could I have 0?
Yes.
Yes. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Can I keep going?
No.
No, because I can only check 5 bags. Which is discrete. Good. Which is discrete. And it's discrete because there are no decimal values. Okay, I only want whole number values between 0 and 5, not decimal values. Okay, now let's say my equation again was y is equal to 145 plus 30x. Let's plug in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'm going to give you these values here. I plug in 0, I get 145. I plug in 1, I get 175, 205, 235, 265, 295. All I'm doing there is just continually adding 30. Because it's linear. But honestly, if you take 145 plus 30 times 5, you get 295. All right, now, will I take off points if you don't correctly label your axes? Yes. Okay, so this is the amount of bags. This is the total cost. And now let's label it. Okay, let's go 2 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 50, 100. I'm going by 25s. Oh, shoot, that should have been 300. Okay, now I go to graph this. 0, 145, somewhere around right here. 1, 175. 2, 205. 3, 235. 4, 265. 5, 295. Do I connect my dots?
No.
No, this is discrete, not continuous. Okay, I got 4 minutes to do these last 2 problems. All right, number 16, evaluate when x is -4. Guys, the other notation that I could have said was this. All that means is to plug in -4. 2 times -4 minus 2. So f of -4 is -8 minus 2, or -10. Then I plug in 8. F of 8 is 2 times 8 minus 2. So f of 8 is 14. 16 minus 2 is 14. Last problem. Questions on that one before I move on? All I'm doing is plug in the x value, see what I get for the output. What am I going to do for my x values for this table?
-2, -1, 0, 1, 2.
Yeah. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Plug them in. 3 times -2 is -6, minus 2 is -8. 3 times -1 is -3, minus 2 is -5. How much did I go up?
+3.
I went up 3. Will that pattern continue?
Yes.
Should. And it does. Let's plot my points. -2, -8. -1, -5. 0, -2. Hey, I'm still teaching. 1, 1, 2, 4. Do I connect my dots?
Yes.
Yes. Do I put arrows in the end?
Yes.
Yes. Ooh, yikes.
Enough, I will burn it into a flame.
Questions about that? Yes. Hey, shh, quiet. What's that? Oh, yeah. I thought it was like a math question. Yeah, great. Good job.
Wait, this was the day you should have worn your backwards hat.
Okay. Let me see if it actually recorded.
Wear your backwards hat.
I don't